welcome collective to your new moon in true sky Gemini, which is also in a cazimi with Mercury. So what an interesting new moon we have. So it is nearing the end of Gemini now. We've only got a few more days until the Sun will move into true sky Cancer around the 17th. So interesting new moon with that Mercury retrograde involved. And I do think that these cards here have shown a little bit of that energy. So the decks I'm using for the transit through the solar transit through the sign of true sky Gemini are kind of like folklore, fairy tale kind of decks. And the first deck I have here for you laid out is the Mystic Fairy Tarot. And on the bottom of the deck for you, we have Justice. So there may be some kind of underlying theme to do with justice. So it could be some kind of justice in your life, or it could be justice in someone else's life, like someone close to you or someone that you're involved in. Could even be like it could be with your work or family or love life, like depending on what else is going on significantly for you at the moment. I do think it's quite interesting that a lot of major arcana cards have appeared here in the main deck for this new moon. So I think it's going to be quite a significant new moon. So the first card we have here is the Empress. So this is like a Venus Taurus kind of card, or Libra, which is interesting because we did have that South Node Venus conjunction recently, which is actually pulling away now. So now it's only about 4 degrees. So it's getting weaker. That energy is kind of leaving now, which is interesting. We do still have also the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus, which isn't tight also. So that's also about 6 degrees apart now. So that's even further. But I do wonder if those energies are playing out a little bit in this reading here, because obviously having Venus and the South Node in Leo, whose ruler is the sun, and then we go back to the sun and we're at the new moon, and so it does kind of revert back the energies. And then interestingly, the crowning card we have for the new moon is the Lovers. So this card does have a Venus but also Gemini energy and Mercury energy. So very interesting, because we do have that Mercury involved in this new moon as well. So definitely there's going to be some kind of, this is for the mind and like the higher energies. You could say like the top chakras, the top 3. So even down to like the throat, the crown, the third eye, and the throat. So there could be a serious, doesn't have to be serious, but really important decision that's needs to be made at the moment for this new moon. And the new moon energies obviously do, this is like the only, new moon in true sky Gemini that we will have this year. So potentially these energies could affect the next year up until the next new moon in Gemini. They can be shorter than that, but the fact that it's a yearly thing, like a returning point, like a birthday kind of energy, is relevant. And then also that could be, the decision could be about love. It doesn't have to be, but it definitely involves 2 significant pathways. And there may be like a real, one path might be more in line with your heart, and one might be more in line with your head. So you really have to kind of choose which direction you want to go. And then having this Empress flanking here is so interesting. So we have the Empress on one side and then we have the Hermit on the other, which to me almost is like the heart and the head. The Hermit is associated with Virgo. It is very intellectual and very solitary, and the Empress is, you know, very abundant and linked with fertility. So maybe there is a decision in that sense that you really are needing to make this at this time. So maybe even like pursuing an inner journey, and maybe even like a career or some form of study, or pursuing potentially even the Empress can represent like pregnancy, or definitely growing something. It's such an abundant energy, but it's often on the earth plane. So that could be very relevant. Then we have the Three of Pentacles. So this is a card of collaboration and also self-mastery. So there's something that you are working on at the moment, and it is linked to this abundant energy. And then for the central card, which is like your heart chakra and those middle chakras, is the Priestess. So you really need to listen to your intuition and your dreams and your inner wisdom this month. I don't know why I just said month, but this new moon could be a whole year's influence, but could be a month until the next new moon. So try, if you can, to create a sacred space, if you haven't already, a place where you can go and feel, you know, relaxed and calm. And you can center yourself and connect with your higher self and your inner self, especially your heart this month, and especially linking to this decision that you need to make. And then you have the Five of Cups flanking it as well. So there is some kind of loss and sadness here. There's some grief, and everyone's so different in how they deal with these things. You know, maybe you might need to seek some counseling, or maybe you might just need more time alone, or maybe you might need to watch a comedy or read a good book, or like everyone is so different how they deal with these energies. But it is important that you do give it a place and, you know, allow it to let go. Allow yourself to let go of it. And it is linked in here also with that Hermit card, which is once again about going within and studying whatever's going on and looking for these answers within. Then you have the Chariot card here. So the Chariot card is actually a really good card for success. It does mean that you will need to take the reins up in your life and try and guide it in the direction that you are wanting it to go, because it can mean that you feel pulled in multiple directions. So you really need to focus on that and pull it in and try to guide it as best as you can. It can also represent travel. So potentially you could be traveling somewhere, and because the Priestess is linked in here, it could even mean that you might travel to like a sacred space or a sacred place, a place that's quite special to you, to find some answers, inner answers. Then at the bottom here, on the base of the matter, so this is more like your bottom three chakras, your base chakra, and up to say maybe your solar plexus area. This is the Knight of Cups here. So the Knight of Cups is a very romantic energy. It can definitely mean a new romantic situation coming in, some kind of proposal even, potentially. It can even represent a person. So if it is a person, they could be of that like 18 to mid-30s age range, and often of the water signs or significant water houses, or the ruling planets of the water signs in their chart, which would be the water planets would be with your Cancer, the Moon, Scorpio, Pluto, but also potentially Mars, and Pisces, Neptune, and Jupiter. So it doesn't have to be someone though. It can just be those energies, and it could even be you taking on those energies this month. So maybe you kind of really need to romanticize your own life and bring that really nice, gentle, soft energy into your own life. And then the last card we have here for the main deck is the Seven of Cups. So the Seven of Cups is quite an interesting energy. It does imply some wishful thinking. It does imply that there will be many choices. So be aware there will be many choices, and some of them may even be quite illusional. So they may look really good, or maybe they just look very mysterious and you're drawn to them. However, actually, you know, they aren't great choices. So be aware of that. Be aware of what drives you as well. I mean, we don't have the Devil card here, so I don't see too much of that energy, but here we do have that that grief, loss, sadness card connected here with this Seven of Cups. So, you know, maybe when you're not in the best state of mind, you might not choose the best options. That's also could be the opposite. You might actually choose really good options if you're in that state of mind. But yeah, that energy is affecting that here as well. And potentially this dreaming energy could be about an individual. It could be about this Knight of Cups energy, who could even be more than one. I don't see more than one, but we do have that Lovers with that choice. And then the Seven of Cups implies many choices. So there could be, you know, more than one even love offer here. And then I do think it's interesting too that we do have that Chariot card, which is linked to Cancer and the moon, and it is like the new moon. So there is that energy there as well, even though we don't have the moon card here. The Priestess is more, it can be linked to the moon, but also Neptune as well. And we do have that Neptune in Pisces energy quite strong at the moment, which is also aspecting a lot of other things going on at the moment too. There's some really interesting aspects coming up this month. I think it's the 19th. There's like the Grand Trine, and there's like a golden rectangle. There's all these beautiful alignments, and it has actually like a pentagram shape in between all the aspects. So that's the 19th. So these energies are all playing in here. The next deck I have for you is the Victorian Fairy Tarot, and on the bottom of the deck we have the Burning Oak. So the Burning Oak is like your Tower card, so it's equivalent to the Tower card. And the Tower card is that kind of Uranian energy, which we do currently have in Taurus, which then, yeah, reverts back to the Venus because Taurus is ruled by Venus. So we've got that kind of interplay going on there, and then the Venus reverts back to the Sun because of the Leo. So it is all playing in here. Then for the Empress card, we have the Knight of Summer. So the Knight of Summer is like your Knight of Cups. So we have that twice in this reading. So it definitely seems like there is some kind of romantic proposal, some kind of romance here. It doesn't even have to be love though. It could be just friendship. It could just be some, you know, beautiful soul that's in your life that's really offering you this beautiful emotional offering. It could even be in business. However, for the Empress here, this is quite, I think, quite a fertile couple. So we have this Empress who's this abundant, feminine, fertile energy. And then we have this romantic, you know, energy here. So to me, that is a very fertile energy there. Then for the Lovers, we have the Four of Summer. So the Four of Summer is like your Four of Cups. The Four of Cups has an energy that is, you know, quite discontent and dissatisfied with what's going on. So this decision making might be really kind of unbearable for you. You might find it really challenging. So make sure you know, give yourself the space to do what you've got to do. Don't rush yourself or, you know, anything like that. Then with the Hermit, we have the Two of Autumn. So this is all about balancing your resources, making sure your ins and outs are balanced. You know, don't overspend, don't overdo, don't push yourself too much, that kind of energy. So the Hermit is very wise anyway, but having that to confirm definitely tells me that, yeah, don't push yourself. For the Three of Pentacles, we have the Herald of Autumn. So this is like your Page of Pentacles. And to me, this is saying that, I mean, it could be a person. The Herald, the Page could be a person. And if so, they would be a child. So of the, like, child years to up to like maybe 18 years, and they could be of the earth signs or houses or the ruling planets of the earth signs, like strongly placed in their chart. If it's not an individual, it could just be something you're learning this month, and it's to do with this self-mastery and this collaboration. Could be someone you are collaborating with, but it doesn't have to be. It could just be that there's a new energy here that is very much linked with resources and finances and things like that, and you kind of need to figure out how you can work with that energy and also help it to propel you forward. Then for the priestess, our central card here, that very intuitive, knowing energy. We have the 10 of winter. So this is like your 10 of swords equivalent. It does suggest that there is some really hard energies here, like a type of betrayal. There's an ending, a serious ending, and it's something that you've been working on for a long time, so it can feel like a real defeat energy, and it's kind of come out of nowhere as well, but you feel really, you know, backed into a corner as he does here. There's all these spiky vines, and then this badger is, you know, very aggressive. So yeah, it has that kind of energy. So potentially this priestess, like I said, making a sacred space, making time to calm yourself and get into that higher mind and calm spirit is going to be so important, because if you have this energy here, that will just make your nervous system, you know, on edge. It's going to stress you out. It's going to make the rest of your life feel worse. So definitely, if you can, try to, you know, take that time out to reconnect within to your safe space. Then for the 5 of Cups, which is that sadness and loss and regret energy, we do have the King of Winter. So this is like your King of Swords. So there could be an individual here. This could be someone who could be of the air signs, air houses, or significant ruling air planets in their chart. So they would be quite intellectual and a leader in their field. And maybe this person is the person that has made you feel this sadness and this regret and this loss. This could be someone you were seeing, or some kind of relationship here. Doesn't have to be love. It could be a friendship. It could be business. But there is some kind of sadness and loss here. And this King of Winter, I don't feel it's going to be very supportive to you, but it could also be telling you, if it's not an individual, even if it is, it could be just saying that also you need to kind of develop your intellectual capacities to help you get through this grief and this loss and this sadness. Then for the Chariot, oh wow, we have the Seeress. So the Seeress is like your priestess. So we have that energy doubled as well. So we've had the Knight of Cups doubled, and then we have the Seeress or priestess, High Priestess doubled. So the Chariot, like I said, was all about leading your path in the direction that you want it to go, your life, sorry. So taking up those reins, pulling in the energies and guiding them. The Seeress is similar, but not so forceful, not so controlling. It's more about just being. And yeah, like I said, it's linked with the moon. It's also linked with Neptune. So it's also got that flowing energy of Neptune. It does have that moon energy as well. So like the Chariot, so that is there as well. So yeah, if you can, you know, be a leader in your life, that's really great. And maybe you might need to really touch base with your inner knowing and your intuitive self here to help guide your life in the way that you need it to go at this time. Then to clarify the Knight of Cups, we have the 5 of Autumn. This is like a 5 of Pentacles energy here. which does suggest some kind of, even if it's only temporary, some kind of financial struggle. Lack of resources and an indication of scarcity and poverty. It's more of an individual struggle though. I mean, there is, it looks like a mother and son, so it could be your immediate family. But the people in the background are all celebrating. They're all have an abundance. So often the suggestion is to look to the outer community, your outer society, for help with these problems. So depending on what it is for you, I mean, here we have the Knight of Cups, which was that kind of romantic potential offer situation here. Maybe you would like that in your life, but there's a scarcity of romance in your life. But maybe you might need to actually go out and meet new people. Maybe it's out there, but you just haven't met them yet. Or if you have, maybe you might still need to go out there and meet other people. Like you might need friendships, or like if you're in a relationship that doesn't fulfill you on all levels, it might be that, yeah, you need like to work on some other aspect in your life to get that fulfillment, because I'm not sure if one individual can really fulfill you like 100%. You know, we have all different kinds of needs, and you know, a partner only is kind of one. It can be a lot more aspects, obviously, but yeah, they might not have all of the things that you need in your life. So that could be it as well. However, the Knight of Cups is often like a romantic type of energy. The Seven of Cups we have clarified with the Knight of Winter. So the Knight of Winter is like your Knight of Swords. So he is of the age range like 18 to 30, maybe mid-30s, and of the air signs or air houses or significant air planets in their chart. Doesn't have to be a male, but has that masculine quality. Often they're a bit of a truth teller. So there's often an element of truth or messages that can come from the Knight of Swords. So this is for the Seven of Cups. So that was all about the choices, these multiple choices, and potentially even like wishful thinking and a bit of like illusion and delusion there. So potentially this Knight of Winter might even say something to kind of wake you up to the realities. You know, it's that cutting force with the sword. But also they could be involved in this choice as well. Or maybe you might even need to embody that Knight of Swords energy yourself and use that, you know, sort of truth to cut down to the choices that you really need to make. So the next cards I have for you are the magical messages from the fairies. And on the bottom of the deck, we have vegetarian. A new way of eating gives you more energy, greater health, clarity, and stronger manifestation abilities. Then we have the crowning card is Sun. Your son is watched over and protected as he explores his world. And this is to do with this lovers, the choice, with the Four of Summer, which was that discontent energy. Then the central card we have, pregnancy. The birth of a child brings great blessings to you and the world. So this was for this priestess with the Ten of Winter. So that's really interesting. Oh my goodness. Doesn't have to be an actual child pregnancy, so it can just mean something that you're creating, some kind of new life. And then we have marriage. The fairies join you in celebrating wedded bliss. So wow, this was for this Knight of Cups with the Five of Autumn. So if it is a marriage, having that Five of Pentacles energy could be kind of suggesting that maybe that's holding back this romantic offer because maybe someone doesn't feel they have enough resources to actually, you know, marry you, or you might be the one that feels that you don't have enough resources to marry. But yeah, that energy is linked in here as well. Then we have the next cards I have are the Fairies Oracle, the Fraud. And on the bottom of the deck, we have Ilby, the retriever, and they are linked to the office of unclaimed property, hopes, and wishes and loyalty. Ilby is trying to remind you of something you've lost, a hope, perhaps, or a dream. You may have thought it'd gone forever, but he is holding it out to you for reconsideration. He thinks you can do something with it now. The way may not be obvious, but his clever nose has scented a path, a potential opening for being into this life. Sometimes Ilby may be saying that a long-awaited dream is at last arriving on the scene, and there is nothing we need to do but open our hearts and minds to it. However, we usually have to work for it. Another attribute of Ilby is loyalty. So that's like the underlying like shadow energies of the deck. The first card for you is, the crowning card is Oh, That Gnome, linked to the sun energy, and Honesty, linked to the pregnancy, Spirit Dancer, linked to the marriage. So the crowning card, Oh, That Gnome, here. So his energies are trickster, creative chaos, wild gifts, breaking habits and patterns. It's time to leap into the air, letting the earth turn beneath you and discover where you come down again. Reasonable risks are okay. Even unreasonable risks are probably okay. Use your head and look before you leap, of course, but do so understanding that the actual jump is likely to be very rewarding. No guarantees, but there are never really any way. No matter how pretty the paper they may seem to be printed on and the scroll work around the edge. In a reading, the presence of that gnome tells us that the forces of chaos are at work. Things may not be as they seem, and this may very well be a good thing. Look for the unexpected, find the opportunity in it, and go for it. He says that no matter how confusing things may seem, there is a way to make them better. But it is a creative way, one you haven't tried before. He says, think amazing new thoughts. So that's interesting. Wow. And definitely really positive for this new moon in Gemini with this retrograde Mercury, cazimi. Think positive thoughts. So simple, but kind of perfect for that position too. Then for the central card, we have Honesty, which represents honesty, compassion, tact, and also self-deceit. Honesty in a reading speaks, unsurprisingly, of the need for straight dealing and truth in representation. We need to be scrupulously honest here, making certain that there is no room for confusion or misunderstanding. No fuzzy edges. Both written and verbal agreements need to be completely clear. Assumptions may not be as well understood by all parties as we are assuming, and they need to be tested for comprehension. On a personal level, honesty reminds us not only to be clear in what we say and do, but also act and speak with compassion and tact. Brutal honesty is not usually true honesty at all, but somehow slanted toward the worst. Dishonesty, even in the name of tact, is not helpful either. Balancing on that fine line of loving honesty may take some effort, but will provide rich rewards. Honest humility, idealism, and clarity of mind are some of the advantages of honesty. And so that's linked with this pregnancy, which if it is a pregnancy that you are experiencing, or that does happen in this cycle, and like I said, it could be even the next up to a year's time, this reading could resonate for the next year. A lot of the souls that are coming in at this time have really interesting energies. I think are they the rainbow children? I don't know. It's like a new generation at the moment. They are the betas. It's generation beta coming in. But I feel like there could even be some crystal energy there too. Yeah. But there's really interesting energies because of the outer planet movements in the true sky. Obviously, they're the generational planets. So we have that Pluto in Capricorn generation, which is just beginning. Very interesting generation, especially it's very different from the Pluto in Sagittarian generation that we just had, that finished up the Gen Alpha, which I think are very kind of boisterous and very fun, and they like pushing limits. Whereas I think this Capricorn generation are going to be more conservative, maybe more interested in traditions and history and, you know, structural things. Yeah, very Capricorn energies. And then also that last generation also had the Neptune in Aquarius. So they were kind of like a bit revolutionary, but on like a spiritual level. And, you know, that Uranus-Pisces combination. But this generation now are the Neptune in Pisces. So it's kind of like spiritual doubled, you know, it's that really spiritual energies, which is aspecting that Neptune, that Pluto in Capricorn as well. There's a sextile there. So when I'm thinking crystal children, I'm kind of thinking, you know, Capricorn, the earth, the minerals. And then also Neptune is like, it is linked to music, and it is linked to water and frequencies on that kind of spectrum. So having that, like, you know, the waters and that flowing through the earth kind of help feed and create these crystals. I don't know, I got that image as well. And then we also had, the last generation had that Uranus in Aries. So they had this kind of, yeah, really fiery, kind of revolutionary, really strong energy with the Uranus. Whereas this generation now are going to have this Uranus in Taurus energy, just a lot more grounded and practical, and even to do with, you know, Venusian things like beauty, and then that also, that Uranus is trining the Pluto. So once again, it's the earth energies. That's why I was thinking crystal too. And then the Taurus is sextiling that Neptune. So this little like triangle, it's not a grand trine, but there is a little triangle with the two sextiles and then the actual trine. It's really quite an interesting alignment that I'm pretty sure goes well into like past 2030, maybe up to 2033 or the early 2030s. So that this generation coming in have like this really interesting energies. Currently also we do have so if this child is going to be born more like soon, it will have that Jupiter in Cancer energy, which obviously is very much linked with this mothering energy and, you know, strong, these Jupiter traits, but with the family. So it's a really positive placing for Jupiter to be in Cancer. And then currently we have Jupiter is opposing Pluto. So there's that Cancerian like ocean energy, which is full of minerals, with this plutonic kind of Capricorn like rocks, and I don't know, it's quite beautiful really. But so this obviously it's just the generational, if you do have a child, they would have all their personal planets as well, depending on how they're interacting. But I do think that the energies at the moment are very interesting, and there are a lot of souls coming in at this time that are probably going to be really important for the future. So yeah, congratulations if that's where you are at. And I feel like that was like this honesty card really provoking me to talk about that too. Then we also have the base of the matter card is the Spirit Dancer. So the Spirit Dancer is linked to self-expression, freedom, and exploration. And now is the time to focus and really concentrate on a project or process, especially one involving the creative arts. Spontaneity, balanced by self-discipline, will help us achieve our goals. Strive for elegance and simplicity. This is a time to bring out and share qualities that we have nurtured in private. So there may be something that you have been nurturing in private. Maybe it is to do with this marriage, or some artistic project that you kind of need to marry in your life, marry yourself to. And by the way, I wasn't trying to diss the past generation either, because every generation has its strengths and obviously weaknesses too. So I personally do have children from Gen Alpha, so they are quite wild and yeah, interesting. So the next deck I'm going to pull from is the Fairy Ring Oracle, and on the bottom of the deck we have the Three of Autumn, which is the Changeling, which is interesting because we have like a baby energy here again. And the Changeling indicates that something or someone is not all it seems. The questioner may be the victim of fraud or duplicity. So really be aware of that. That's an underlying energy there. But yeah, be really careful. So yeah, that was the underlying shadow energy of the deck. Then for the crowning card, we have the Knave of Spring, Newmoon. The Heart of the Matter, the central card, we have Will-o'-the-Wisp, the Seven of Summer. And that can have a bit of an illusionary energy too. Then we have the King of Summer, the Oak Man, and this is for the base of the matter. So the crowning card, the Knave of Spring, Newmoon, represents success, though not of a material nature, and satisfaction in a job well done. He represents a helpful friend and innocent pleasures. May even be a real person in your life at this time. A charming young man who is romantic and idealistic, with old-fashioned ideas of chivalry and gentleness. And then the central card we have here is the Seven. The appearance of the Will-o'-the-Wisp betokens illusion, fallacy, or a false impression. He may indicate self-delusion and wishful thinking over some matter. So be aware of those energies as well. That's to do with the honesty. So be honest with yourself about these illusions and delusions. And then for the base of the matter, we have the King, the Oak Man. So he indicates power, good government, received knowledge and authority. His gifts are willpower and self-control. And the Oak Man promises if you act correctly and honorably, you'll be rewarded. There may even be a real person in your life. A mature man who's in a position of authority is reliable, honest, practical, methodical, and conscientious. He loves his family and traditions. So that's interesting because we had that marriage card, which sounds like a good kind of marriage kind of partner, but then we had the spirit dancer in between. So maybe even through these creative projects that it was talking about, bringing them out and sharing them, you may meet this king potentially. The next cards that I have, they're actually the last deck that I have for you. It's the Lenormand Fairy Tale, Lenormand. And on the bottom of the deck, we have the book. The first card for you, however, is the Scythe for the Newmoon, the Heart with the Will-o'-the-Wisp, and Lady with the King, the Oak Man. So the book's underlying energies are around secrets and knowledge, education, information, research, and also studies. With the Scythe, however, there could be a secret that's revealed. There also could be knowledge about danger and also some kind of painful truth at this time that you realize. So that's interesting. And that was for the Newmoon. The book with the heart can represent thinking versus feeling, knowledge about love, and also a secret love, potentially. So that's interesting too. Especially because the Will-o'-the-Wisp was talking about illusions and delusions and things. The book with the lady represents a woman with a good education, but also the truth about a woman. So you may learn some interesting details there. The heart with the scythe can indicate a broken heart, the ending of a relationship, and also ending with compassion as well. So, whereas the heart with the woman can symbolize a marriage announcement and also a new commitment. So that's really interesting because we do have that crowning initial card was the Lovers, which talks of the choice, and then that central last card here is the heart, which talks about thinking versus feeling, and then it also talks about an ending of some kind of relationship, and also potentially like a marriage or a new relationship starting. So maybe that is what is going on here for you. If it is, let me know. There could be other interpretations. Just take what resonates, leave the rest for those that are meant to hear the other messages. But yeah, these are the cards I have for you for this new moon in True Sky Gemini with the cazimi-mercury. Quite an interesting new moon. Just looking at the True Sky that we have at the moment, there's some interesting aspects as well. So I did notice that we do have the current North Node, or the True Node, sextiling Chiron. So this could be a time of, it's interesting because the North Node obviously is linked to kind of more dharmic energies, but more the current energies. And then the Chiron is linked to like the wounded healer. So just all these synergies with the heart, and then we have the scythe. So there's like this cutting away. Maybe it's even a cutting away of like a wounding or some kind of healing going on here. Because sometimes you have to, you have to do that. Like you cut away the bad so that the good can re-heal. That is a process that we can do that encourages, positive healing. There's a little bit of a challenge from Saturn. It's not close though, so it's actually about 7 degrees, that squaring between Saturn and the new moon and sun, and even closer though with Mercury. It's about 5-degree square from Saturn, because obviously Saturn's in Pisces. So there is like a challenge there as well about, and I do feel like that could even be because we had some of the energies come up around illusions and delusions, and then even with the underlying card of that changeling energy as well, like being a victim of fraud and things like that, which can be the negative energies, I would say, definitely of challenge between Gemini and Pisces energies, because Gemini has that kind of trickster energy, and then Pisces has also similar, they're both mutable, they both have that. Pisces has the delusional kind of energy, which kind of is almost like a trickster energy in itself. And then there is like a loose-ish sextile between Mars currently and Saturn, and it's about 4 degrees, and I'm getting this feeling that, like I was saying about the scythe, using the scythe to cut away these kind of harmful energies and to kind of get to the truth so that it can heal with that Chiron and the North Node energy. So Mars, I think Mars is actually currently in Rohini, so it's not as, Uranus has just moved into Rohini too, but the past nakshatra, it was all about, Kritika has to do with a blade and a sword, and it's about cutting away illusions and delusions. So that energy might be kind of still there a little bit. It's not really tight. Now it's in Rohini. It's a lot more, Rohini is more different energy. It's more about like wealth and prosperity, and even spiritual liberation. Rohinis are really positive. So it is interesting though that that scythe could be kind of cutting away still. I feel like it's there, you know, it's that crowning card. It could be, yeah, cutting away that illusion, and that's how you can kind of come to that spiritual liberation and even prosperity and abundance, because I do think it's there available for all of us on some level. And I am aware of, you know, different things in the world, like class structures and things like that. So I'm not trying to talk out of ignorance here. However, I'm sure I am still ignorant in my own way. But I think that the true liberation is more, it's a spiritual thing. It's an inner thing. And it's more that, you know, you really need to have that, that strength and that worth and things on that inner level. Which is easy to say. However, I don't come from some kind of privileged bloodline, so I am still learning this myself, and I have learned a lot so far through my own struggles in life. Not saying that those that do come from that don't learn, but I do think that having a certain having privileges in the world can kind of buy you into places which may help you quicker or easier, and that doesn't mean the inner work so much, but I do think that when you're not restricted in certain ways, that it can be easier. And I do observe that. Also though, I do think that sometimes it can lead the opposite way, where those that think that they can buy their way into certain places end up choosing the wrong path. So there is that energy too. But anyway, I hope you have a fantastic new moon in True Sky Gemini. And also, if this did resonate in any way, or even if you just enjoyed it, you found it entertaining or educational, if you could like, comment if you want to tell me something, that's amazing too, and or subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you already have, thank you so much, and thank you for returning as well. So I really appreciate every single one of you here in growing this community here that we have. So take care and bye.